Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our regular council meeting for January 6, 2025. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation District 4, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. We'll start off the afternoon. We've got a few introductions. I believe Kathy is first here.
Good afternoon. Through the chair to Mayor and Council, I'd like to introduce to you Lizelle Apaez. She's our new tax and assessment clerk. Lizelle holds a bachelor degree of management accounting from the Philippines and a certificate of accounting from London, Ontario. Her recent position was as a payroll specialist for the last few years, and when she's not at work, she enjoys spending time with her husband and her 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah, welcome to the City of Brooks. Yeah. Okay, another staff introduction here.
Again, through the mayor and council, I'd like to introduce Rob Connolly. He is born and raised in Brooks. He moved away to further his career, but returned to Brooks. Being smart as he is, around 10 years ago. He has 25 years extensive experience in network, computer support, and the like, and he's our new IT administrator. The best thing, he's promised not to cross our wires. So.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, welcome to the City of Brooks, yeah. Okay, need a mover for this motion that the council be adopted. A mover for that motion, Councillor Jessica. All those in favor? Carried. Need a mover for this motion here that the minutes from the regular council meeting held December 16th, 2024 be approved. Mover for that motion, Councillor Idris. All those in favor? Carried. Need a motion for this motion here, or a mover for this motion here. Following items of correspondence be received as information updates on council conferences and workshops. Councillor Goodenough. I don't believe there's anything to report this week unless somebody has anything, but I don't think that. Okay, to the motion. Oh, okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, need a motion here that the January 29th, 2025, or that January 29, 2025 be hereby proclaimed as Chinese New Year Day in the City of Brooks. And speaking to this here will be our inclusion coordinator, Robin Clausen. Robin, I need to, who moved that motion there? Councillor Wardrop, yeah. Okay.
Good evening, through the chair to Mayor and Council. Chinese New Year is a celebration with roots that date back for thousands of years, symbolizing new beginnings and the importance of family and tradition. It is the time where people come together to honor their cultural heritage, to look forward to prosperity and the coming years. To mark this occasion, administration has partnered with SPEC to host a free lantern making class. This event is an opportunity to educate our community about the richness of Chinese cultural traditions while fostering inclusivity and togetherness. By recognizing Chinese New Year in Brooks, we honor the heritage and diversity that contribute to the unique fabric of our city. Therefore, administration is recommending that January 29th be proclaimed as Chinese New Year in the City of Brooks.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Need a mover for this motion here that the City of Brooks apply for funds through the Local Growth and Sustainability Grant for the 7th Street Sanitary Trunk Upsizing Project. Who's making the motion on that one? Councillor Jessica. Okay. Manager of Engineering, Bryce Mackin.
Thank you. Through the chair. The local growth and sustainability grant is open to local governments to support infrastructure projects that enhance and expand infrastructure in local governments that are experiencing growth pressures, support new or expanding industrial, commercial, and residential development to advance economic activity in the local government or in the local municipality, governments to benefit residents and address an urgent infrastructure breakdown that is impacting the health and safety of residents of a small community where the local government cannot fund the project with existing resources. The program, the grant program guidelines identify two following components: the growth component and the sustainability component. Administration has reviewed the program guidelines and has determined that the 7th Street Sanitary Trunk Upsizing Project was the best option for the growth component of this grant. The project met all the eligibility requirements, and the upgrades to the section of the main trunk are required to alleviate surcharging of the existing system in order to support future growth and development. The LGSG grant, or LSSG, provides a maximum 50% grant funding. This project is part of the 10-year capital plan and is currently ready for construction tendering in 2025. Design and engineering have already been completed. So the project is ready to tender as per one of the conditions of the grant. Therefore, administration recommends that the City of Brooks apply for funds through the Local Growth and Sustainability Grant for the 7th Street Sanitary Truck Upsizing Project.
Okay, any questions? Councilor Goodenough?
I'm just curious, if we don't get the grant for this, is this a project that can be delayed a year or two from now, and then where we can keep applying for the funding?
Yes, through the chair, this project has been delayed here and there, but it is a shovel-ready project, so it will be ready for either this grant or other grant opportunities if this one doesn't go through.
When do you find out about the grant?
That is a good question. Through the chair, grants we generally get information back on grants in the March area, depending on the provincial government status and budget status and that kind of thing. But generally around March is when we usually hear back.
Okay, any other questions? Councilor Jessica?
Yes, thank you. So when you look at the requirements for the grant, it sounds like it needs to be a fairly serious situation, a serious need. So you talk about the upsizing, but is this surcharging something that puts the system integrity at risk?
Certainly, through the chair, the current system does surcharge on heavy rainfall, during heavy rainfall events and during the summer months. So it really restricts our ability to add future development or add growth to that line without risk. Part of this project was running all the way from the old lagoons to the new lagoons. Half of this project has already been completed and upsized. This would be to complete the remaining portion of that upsizing.
Okay, any other questions? Councilor Idris?
If I read this correctly, the project is about close to 4 billion. Okay, and you are hoping to get half of that. And the remaining, what's the plan for the remaining, and is it in the budget for this year?
I would probably have to defer that question to finance or to come back at a later date with an answer.
Anybody know the answer to that, or go ahead? CEO Parker?
At this time, we're just hoping to get the grant. If we don't get the grant, we hadn't really discussed the second part. But we do have fundings, and most likely it'll be coming from either the sewer reserve fund or just the sewer utility rates. And as you are aware, we are increasing the rates this year too.
Councilor Goodenough, did you have?
I think the financial implication is the project has been submitted for consideration as part of the 2025 capital budget,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, Councilor Wardrop, yeah.
Yeah, just to add on to the question, because that is what it says in there. It's, so along those lines, is the 1.99 million what's submitted for the 2025 budget, or is it like the 4 million? I can't recall if that was.
The timeline of actually putting this in, I'm going to have to defer to the manager there.
So through the chair to try and best answer the question, this project was originally approved as part of the 10-year capital plan, and it was, I believe, divided up over 2 years of for engineering and construction. Each of those years, I believe, were half of the project, 2 million roughly. I won't I won't try and divide it off the top of my head. The engineering work had been completed previously. Up to a certain point, we have design and engineering and a tender document ready for construction. That's where that's where the project ended. But the original 10-year capital plan that was approved contained this project for 2023 and 2024, 2 years. This grant opportunity arose as a shovel-ready grant opportunity, and that's why we're applying. I hope that answers some of the question. Sorry.
Again,
Yeah,
for
go ahead,
council's
yeah.
information, it is in the 10-year forecast. It was predicated to be in 2025. However, it's not in the adopted 2025 budget. So it was shifted out a little bit for we could apply for this grant. So generally, if you've started a project and it's funded, it's not going to be considered for funding by the grant program. So if it was commenced before we get word on the grant, that's a consideration the province would take into consideration. So that's the reason why we deferred it to a future year, apply for the grant, and hopefully we will get the grant, and then we could accelerate the construction of the project. And if the grant's successful, we'll report back to council on the amendments to the budget.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Take it to the motion then. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, need a mover for this motion here, that council accept the establishment and operation of RCMP Civilian Governance Bodies Committee information as presented, and direct staff to proceed with option 2 to obtain ministerial approval to establish a municipal policing committee or a joint committee with another municipality. Mover on that motion, Councillor Nesbitt. Okay, Manager of Administration, Amy Romans.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. Alberta's government is enhancing civilian governance of RCMP police communities to ensure they have a voice in setting local and province-wide policing priorities and performance goals by creating municipal and regional policing committees. The legislation is to strengthen RCMP ties to the communities they serve and improve police accountability by mandating civilian governance bodies for municipalities policed by the RCMP, and an order in council for the legislation has been signed, with the new regulations coming into force March 1st of this year. The function of the municipal police committees are to oversee the administration of the municipality's police service agreement, represent public interest and concerns to the local RCMP leadership, and collaborate with local detachments to plan yearly priorities and strategies for municipal policing and community safety, and regularly report on the implementation of programs and services that support police service priorities. And the regional committee has similar roles and responsibilities. Communities seeking to opt out of a regional committee in favor of establishing their own or a joint committee with another municipality must have a formal process in place to do so. Communities that want to opt out and establish their own municipal or joint committee will need to receive ministerial approval. There are 2 options presented today. The first one is to be represented by a regional policing committee, so the Southern Alberta District, or to opt out of a regional committee and establish the cities committee or a joint committee with another municipality, the County of Newell, for example, and contact the Ministry of Public Safety and Emergency Services to initiate the process of obtaining ministerial approval. There may be possible financial implications. Municipalities can choose whether to establish remuneration for their policing committee members, and we are also responsible for the cost of establishing, administering, and sustaining membership of the policing committee. Therefore, administration is recommending that council accept the report and direct staff to proceed with option 2 and obtain ministerial approval to establish a municipal policing committee or a joint committee with another municipality.
Okay, any questions? Is there a timeline on this, on when they want everything done by?
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie, the legislation comes into effect March 1st of this year.
So we, sure, yeah, okay, okay. Any other questions on this one? Councilor Woodrup?
I was curious if we have a rough estimate of the costs of establishing or administrating those, like a municipal policing committee, like how much that would cost us if we're responsible for those costs.
CEO Parker?
So we're responsible for all the costs on the committee itself. There is a element where we do get some grant money back from the province that we use for policing. They said you can use for this committee, but really it would just be a new cost coming to the municipality. And since we haven't set the rates of what the board members would make to actually, and they have to meet a minimum of 9 times a year, so that we just don't know
Okay.
the full costs. This legislation was put through very quickly, and a lot of municipalities have been kind of caught with this right now, and are at the phone call meeting that I was on, there's quite a few municipalities that are scrambling to try and meet the March 1st deadline. What will happen is we will not meet all the requirements. The majority of the municipalities that are forming these committees will not meet the requirements by March 1st. But they did say if you at least show progress for March 1st. So that's why we have to decide, do we want to go with this regional committee? And the regional committee, the southern one, there was quite a few different municipalities. I thought it was our local ones around here, but it isn't. It's some bigger ones that are in a bigger, larger area. So they might not have the same issues that we have, so on and so forth. And plus, once you get to 15,000, you have to go to the other type committee, which we're pretty sure we're going to be hitting in the next 2 years. So.
Yep.
I do have another question. So I know this has all happened really quickly, but have we heard from our local RCMP detachment on this, or do we have plans to meet with them? Oh, I see. Yeah, you're already ready. Go for it.
Through the chair to Councillor Wardrop, I didn't meet with the RCMP, but emailed back and forth with the detachment commander. His preference would also be to go either municipal or joint municipal. He felt that Brooks and area has certain policing concerns or priorities that might differ quite a bit from the rest of the Southern Alberta district, so he was also in favor of going this route as well.
And then, are there any plans to kind of connect with the RCMP to kind of see how this will work with them?
So I did meet with the RCMP just before, in December, just before Christmas. And this item did come on up just briefly. And they are just as surprised as we are with the whole process. So literally the legislation, I think, was completed in October, something like that. Now, they have been talking about it since 2020, but the legislation completed in around October. So, and now all the requirements are coming forward. And as for the RCMP, they expressed concerns about some of the background checks that'll have to be done on the committee members. They believe that it's a little unreasonable to say this is the type of background check you want, and you have to have the committee by March 1st. That's why we can form it. We can't really meet until we actually have all these ducks in a row.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Idris?
So I see the motion considering both options. Are we going to decide one of the two options, or the waiver we are getting is to consider both and then we decide something?
I think the motion is that we go with option 2.
I meant a municipal or a joint municipal. These are two different things, and if we are thinking
Yeah,
about-
good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair to Councillor Idris, I think at this time, I just wanted to include that council is in favor of opting out of the regional one, so we can start the process to contact the minister. And then at that time, if council wants to decide or perhaps even meet with the county to determine if this is something the county would like to partner on. We do have the Safe Communities Committee, which is regional, and they do complete some of the requirements that are listed here. We do have the priority setting sessions. We do have civilian representation already where the RCMP meets with as well. They just don't tick all of the boxes. So like I said, I just wanted to start with contacting the minister to say we'd like to opt out, and then at that point, council can discuss further to decide if we're strictly municipal or joint municipal.
Councillor Idris, yeah.
So, considering that in trying to be a good neighbor, do we think we should take this to joint services to discuss?
I think we could probably, correct me if I'm wrong, like pass the motion today and then maybe take it to joint services then. Would that be right? Is that, or, okay, CO Parker, yeah, you got a different version.
Yeah, yeah. If you're looking at the county, but with joint services, you have all the smaller municipalities too, which they'll be under 5,000. You're crossing over into a different component of it. So, and direction. So if you take a look at what the goals are of the committee, it is, what do you want your RCMP officers to be doing for these particular, we would then be dictating, or we would be in community of having someone else dictate what our goals would be.
Yeah,
I think it could be reasonable to have the county involved, but once you start to expand to a lot of the smaller ones, so if anything, I'd just recommend we just go and talk with the county.
Yeah, I'll go,
My
Councillor
suggestion,
Idris, yeah.
my suggestion wasn't not to pass this. I'm in favor of the motion.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I'm in favor of the motion.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the next step in deciding between the
Yeah.
two.
The next step I would recommend, most likely, just talk directly with the county.
Yeah, Councillor Goodenough.
Well, I'd like to see the county left out, and this is ours, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Councillor Jessica.
So they have different standards for different size municipalities. Can you mix the different size municipalities to make this joint committee?
I'm not sure.
Councillor Wardrop.
Just gonna chime in. You know, not discounting the benefits of being a good neighbor, but if the goals of the committee would be to kind of prioritize and kind of give directions more specifically to the types of services and the ways that, you know, we're hoping to see RCMP services provided in our community, I do think that maybe having a Brooks specific committee might benefit our city more, just because there's so, like, the priorities for rural and urban, like little urban, are so different. I could see the committee kind of being less productive just because there'd be a clash of priorities there. Willing to talk and have that conversation with the county, but just based on the information that we have, I'd be in favor of just the municipal committee at this point.
Do we have to change the, I don't think we have to change the motion on that, no.
No, but
Yeah, and we can, we can decide on that. Councillor Idris.
And like, my suggestion is not favoring one way or the other. And as I said, I'm actually good with passing the motion as is. I think considering our community and considering where we are, that talk is important, even if we go with the direction of having our own municipal policing. I think the discussion is important to have.
Yeah, and we can have that down the road too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Any other questions on this one? Okay. Okay. To the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, I need a mover for this motion here that bylaw 2426 be read a second time, and this is the WIC committee bylaw. Who's making the motion on this one here? Councillor Nesbitt. We got inclusion coordinator Clausen here. Do we need, do you want to go over, we talked about this prior to Christmas there, prior to the New Year, but you can talk about it again if you want.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So through the Chair to Council, on December 16th of 2024, Bylaw 2426, which is the Welcome Inclusive Committee, was given its first reading. And I'm here today to request that it be given its second and third reading and adopted.
Okay, any questions? To the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Need a mover for the motion here. Councillor Goodenough. That bylaw 2426 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to establish a welcoming and inclusive community committee be read a third time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Need a mover for this motion. Well, I'll ask any questions from the media. I don't, no questions from the media. Mover for this motion here, moved by Councillor Wardrop. That the meeting adjourn at 4:55 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, Happy New